In this episode of Show Us Your Golf Simulator, Anthony from Australia showcases his amazing Uneekor Eye XO home golf simulator setup. If you're interested in buying your own home golf simulator, stick around for some invaluable advice and to see how much this unbelievable home golf simulator costs. Okay, Anthony, welcome to the Handicap Golf channel, and thanks very much for offering to show everybody your home golf simulator. Can you please tell everybody whereabouts in the world you live and how long have you owned a golf sim?
So I finished getting my golf simulator operational about 12 months ago, and I live in far North Queensland, Australia. Yeah, it's been about a 3-year project, but I finally got it finished.
What made you get into sim golf?
I used to do a lot of travelling away from work with fly in, fly out for mining sort of companies. So when I came home, I had a very limited amount of time to be able to play golf. So it sort of stemmed from the fact that, yes, I could go out and play outdoor golf, but in the heat in summer, that's no good. So I ended up, yes, I still played outdoor golf, but I also wanted somewhere to come back and actually practice. And my nearest driving range is about half an hour away from me. So it's a lot easier to walk out your back door, walk into the shed and have a few hits rather than try and get everything organised, try and find someone to play with when everyone else is working. It was just a lot easier. And look, in the early months where I live, it's a very big rainy season. So no, we don't have snow or we don't have any like cold snaps or anything. I think the coldest it gets here is about 12 degrees. So you walk around in a singlet in that, you know what I mean? But yeah. The fact that I could not have to worry about the weather now when I was coming home from work made it a lot better for me as well, because I could still play without having to worry about what the weather was doing as well.
Can you please tell everybody what launch monitor are you using?
I'm using a Uneekor Eye XO, ceiling mounted. At the time when I was going through, I was looking at the GC Quad and I was looking at the GC2 and I was looking at some refurbished models, but I sort of went down the path of, at least if I get a new one, I had the warranty, I had the support from the guys that helped me install everything, so that's why I went down that
Fantastic. Path. Yeah, do you know what? I'm dead happy that you've said that, because so far in this series and the people that I've spoken to, we've managed to get like a different launch monitor, and I wasn't expecting you to say the Uneekors. Whereabouts is your golf simulator situated in your house?
So we have an external shed in the backyard, which was the, you know, where you put your mower. That was also where I was used to park my car when I was working away a lot, because my car used to be sitting up for 4 weeks straight. So we just bought a carport out the back, and since stopping that sort of line of work, I've been at home more, which means my car now goes in the normal carport, and this has now become my simulator space.
And what kind of dimensions do you have?
I was a little bit different, and the guys that I bought all the gear from, and we'll get to that later, weren't exactly happy with me, but we made everything work. So I built my room first, and then sort of found out what sort of dimensions I needed for the simulator. So I was doing a lot of research and doing a lot of you know, what sort of distances and all the rest of it I should need. So from the impact screen to the false floor end is 5.5 meters. Behind the impact screen, I've got 300 mil, just for when the ball hits it, it's not hitting the back wall. I've got a space, so where that alcove comes down, that's a 2.4 meter height. Where the pylon, that pylon there, that's pretty much right above where my swinging mat is, and I've got that at the peak at 3.2 meters. And I've got a screen that goes about 6 meters wide, because that's what the shed was. So
yeah, fantastic. So what kind of space do you need for your Uneekor launch monitor? Obviously you've got plenty there, but do you know what like the minimum dimensions are, or the recommended dimensions are?
The recommended dimensions were 1.5 meters from the hitting mat. At a height of around about 3 meters. So I've had to put a spacer to come down from the ceiling to get it to the 3 meters. And I've got about 1.8 meters from where the swing mat is, where I tee the ball up, to the center of the Uneekor. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't have many misreads, and if I do, it's because Me, myself, have topped the golf ball and it's gone very, very low across the ground and gone underneath the swing mat.
So you said there you've like kind of put a spacer from your ceiling down to like the 3 meter height that was recommended for the Uneekor. So can it not be mounted any higher than 3 meters?
You can, and the boys from the company where I bought it, and we'll get into that in a minute because you're going to ask me about where I got it from. The recommendation was 3 meters, and that was to give you around about 1.5. If you go higher, you can, but it needs a little bit further back.
Right.
If you went a little bit further back on my particular space, you were going to put your back foot off the false floor. So it was easier for me to just put a spacer underneath the Uneekor than actually rebuild my room.
Absolutely, yeah, that's great. Like I say, I don't know hardly anything about the Uneekor apart from that it comes highly recommended from a lot of people that I speak to online and I read about online. So yeah, it's forgive me if I'm asking basic questions about it, but I think it'll be quite interesting for a lot of people to find out. You were saying, well, you're going to tell us whereabouts you got the Uneekor from and how much did you pay for it?
Okay, so don't fall off your chair, right? Because it was an investment. So where I live in North Queensland, there's either 2 things to do. 1, you go fishing, or 2, you play golf, essentially. There's not a lot of, like, facilities to go and do different sports, like go-karting or anything like that. It's available, but there's not a lot here, right? So my investment cost me around about 50 grand just for the simulator components, right? And it cost me about an extra 15 or so for the brand new roller door, all the walling panels, the acoustic panels. But it's an investment that I thought that I was going to be using for quite a long time. So
absolutely,
and
yeah.
I don't have any ongoing fees. So
yeah, good man. So moving over to your frame and your impact screen, we'll start with, well, did you do it as a DIY job or was it all pre-bought from the same company?
So just to follow on from the previous question, because that'll follow into this one a little bit, I organised all my stuff through a company in Australia called Golf Sim Australia, and they predominantly deal with Uneekor equipment. Those boys were really, really good with, well, they were very patient with me because I'm not a very quick mover because of work. But they were very patient with me. Those guys gave me a layout design, gave me the equipment that would best suit my space after it had been built. So they were very, but they even gave me a 3D layout of where the Uneekor should be, what height it should be, where the projector should be. They gave me a 3D layout. Being a Sparky by trade, I was able to do most of that work myself, right? And didn't have an issue. But I got a dual impact screen, just because I thought, you could go the triple layer, but I've already gone the acoustic route with all the foam paneling and that, so I didn't think I had to dull the sound on the screen too much more. And those boys literally send you all the equipment required to be able to mount your screen yourself. So normally those guys would go from factory and they would come out and install it for you. However, those guys are based in Sydney, which is about a 9-hour flight from where I am, plus 2 layovers. So for them to come up and install it, it's probably a little bit too far. So I did most of it myself. And they just supply little U-hooks that you can buy from your local hardware store. And you just mount them to the sides, equally spaced. And these guys gave me a bit of fabric stripping. And you literally just go in and out the eyelets around the screen.
Yeah,
go around the U-bolts, and then just for a little bit of tension, just use a couple of ratchet straps, just for that little bit of tension to keep the screen hanging down just that little bit better.
We have a couple of similar companies in the UK as well who I know do a similar sort of thing. But I just think that they're cool that they've literally taken your space and your room, they've designed everything for you, given you a 3D layout of where everything should be, where the projector should go.
They were very, very helpful. We had a little bit of a snag at the very start with licensing, but the boys were on that within 1 or 2 days because there was just a little bit of mishap between a licensing key. But after that, everything's just been sweet, to be honest with you. I haven't even had to speak to them for the last 12 months because everything's just been running fine.
So what about your hitting mat? Was that through the same company?
Yes, it was through the same company. I tried to pull up some information just on the proposal that they sent me just so I could get like a brand for you, but I couldn't find an actual brand for the hitting mat. So you're going to have to bear with me on that, because I don't actually know how much it costs and I don't know what brand they use. So it was just part of the kit. What they did is they sent me a dual hitting mat, so for a lefty and a righty. And then essentially, listening to those boys, you take said mat, cut it in half, put it into your hitting slot, because the Uneekor's only got a hitting slot of about 300 mil. So
Right.
even if you're a lefty or a righty, you could still hit off the same mat, and then when your mat sort of starts to diminish, turn it around 180 degrees. Now you've got a new fresh mat. And then once you've literally run out of that, you've got another one sitting over there. And I've been hitting off my mat for 12 months and I still can't see any marks off it.
Oh, that's brilliant then, yeah. So you've effectively got like 4 mats in one, I guess, there, haven't you? Because you can switch it round and then you can switch it over again. If you're getting value out of this video, then please support the channel by hitting that like button and subscribing to Handicap Golf. This is interesting for me, listening to yourself, who has gone through a company and they've literally given you, I'm assuming, pretty much everything in your setup, because I've come from the background where I've done everything DIY pretty much. I've done it on a budget, so this is the opposite end of the spectrum to me. So like I say, I'm unfamiliar with all this, so please forgive me again if I'm asking silly questions. But yeah, it's just really interesting to know, and I guess that's what you pay for, really, partly what you pay for. You save yourself the hassle of doing the DIY work, the research. You're paying these guys and you're telling them your budget, I'm guessing, and then they're giving you the best bang for your buck with that budget.
So I was a little bit like yourself when I first started. So like I said, this has been ongoing for like 3 years, right? But prior to that, we're talking when I was 27, somewhere around there, I said to my mates, I said, look, I'm going to build a golf simulator. And I started off with all good intentions, and I did a lot of research. I even got YouTube certified on what projectors to use, and I went down all that path. And then by the time I started actually going, okay, well, I'm going to do this, I just didn't have the time with running the jobs that I was on, to sit down and go, right, I'm going to do this, this is going to come in at this time, and then I can do this and all the rest of it, which is why I sort of went with building the space first and went, right, once I've built the space, now I know what I have to work with. And then by the time that happened, I ended up, being the operations manager for this particular company. So I now had less time to be able to do what I needed to do. So for me, it was just easier to go, right, can you please just send me the gear and I'll install it so I can start having some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You pay for the convenience a lot of the time, don't you? And one thing that I guess you can probably tell us about then is what kind of projector do you have?
Right, so I did look this up as well. So I have a Panasonic Full HD 5000 Lumen. There was 3 or 4 different options that they could have given me. I opted for the higher one because I needed the brighter lights for the natural light that you can see coming in. But then the other reason I did it is for this particular company, this was the only projector that I could side shift. So my projector is not sitting in the middle of the screen, it's sitting off to the left-hand side.
Yep.
So it's actually shining behind me while I'm hitting. But it was the only one that gave me the dimensions that I needed, having a 6-meter screen. My screen's, 2 meters high. So it was the only one that gave me that real projection across the distance as well as the brightness.
Wow. So your screen is like 6 meters wide, is it?
I think it's, if you want to be accurate, I think it's about 5.6 meters wide.
Wow. Yeah, that is awesome. That's a big, wide screen. That
it was a lot easier for me personally to be able to put a screen right across than what it was to try and build bulkheads out. And then if you built bulkheads out, then there was always that possibility of a golf ball hitting it, coming back and hitting someone. Yeah,
definitely. Like from the people that I have spoken to so far in this little series that I'm doing, they've all said that the easiest way to do it is just go wall to wall and eliminate any sort of chance of a bounce back or a rebound or anything like that. Just get it wall to wall and just make it sit flush is definitely the best way to go.
So I also have 2 young kids. They want to use it as well. So I didn't want them accidentally hitting a golf ball into the side wall, bulkhead, whatever it may be, and having it bounce back at them.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm guessing the kids love it.
Yeah, so I've got two kids. One's 5 and one's 8. The 5-year-old just likes playing mini putt on the golf sim because he just grabs the putter and just starts going to town. And my little 8-year-old, he can hit a pretty wicked 7-iron when he wants to. And then just for the kids, I also got Creative Golf 3D as well. So that's an extra software package that I got on top of it as well, just so the kids can, instead of hitting out of a bunker onto a green and going, oh yeah, you're close to a pin, they can hit a dartboard, and they can say, oh Dad, I got 50 points. You're like, cool, all right, and it sort of keeps them more intrigued because now they're hitting on a dartboard or they're hitting into a coconut on a beach or whatever the case may be, or whatever type of game we decide to play. But my young fella really loves the Battlefield game because he likes Verse and Dad. So, the camera spins around and you've got to try and... It's like capture the flag. And you've got to try and get as many zones as you can and then try and take it out. So he likes doing that because every now and then he does beat me because he's not a bad little golfer. So, and he just loves the fact he goes, I beat you, Dad.
I love that, Yeah, so Creative Golf, I haven't had a go on Creative Golf, so I can't comment a lot on it, but I know a little bit what it's about. It's similar to another software called Awesome Golf, which I have had a go on. And for kids, like you say, those little games are amazing because kids probably don't always find it interesting, like you say, to knock it out of a bunker and stick it a few feet from a hole or whatever. But as soon as you introduce dartboards, blowing up ships and all that sort of stuff that you get, the kids are obviously on it there.
He doesn't realise that he's actually practicing. He just, we're just having a game with Dad.
Yeah, he just thinks he's having a little bit of fun, but really he's developing some skills that if he gets into golf when he's older, he's going to make him a decent player.
Hopefully, because then I can retire early. Half of the reason that I went to the Uneekor ceiling mounted is because my oldest fella is a lefty, and I sort of went, if I put a GC quad on the ground, then I'd have to come up with some sort of slide rail so I can move the sit. And I just went, that's again paying for convenience.
That's it, mate. So it's a great point though with the Uneekor and TrackMan and Mevo Plus and all those launch monitors, those radar launch monitors that sit behind you as a golfer. It just gives you that freedom. If you have got left-handed and right-handed golfers in your group or in your family, you don't have to mess around like you do with SkyTrack and GC Quad and GC3. You don't have to switch them around. So
I did look at the Mevo Plus, to be honest with you, because obviously there's a very big price comparison there. But like I said before, because I've got an entertaining area behind my golf sim, and people sit here and we all play golf, like we play foursomes together, and there's a few bevies involved, obviously.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want the Mevo Plus sort of like getting in the way, and likewise with a TrackMan, yes, it would have given me every single bit of club data that I needed, but price point and how it had to be mounted sort of like ruled it out.
No, it's a great point, that, and do you know what, Anthony? Like, that's something that if I ever get a bigger house with a bigger garage or whatever, and I can have a bigger golf room, I'd love to have something like you've just said there. With you got an entertaining area at the back, I've seen you got like a little fridge. I'm assuming it's stocked with beers, sofas, seats, whatever it may be. Like that would be the dream for me. I remember I was telling this story to somebody last week actually. When I got my golf sim room, I couldn't wait to get the boys round just to have a little bit of a closest to the pin, something like that, not even a round. And one night we were out, we'd had a few drinks, and I said, we'll go back to mine, we'll go and have a game of golf in the golf room. So like 6 lads crammed into my garage, and my garage is so small, you can fit like 2 people in there. And we said, we had a few drinks, so we didn't really care. We said, right, okay, we'll have the closest to the pin. And honestly, when we were swinging the club, you're like that far off people's eyes and faces when you're swinging it, and it was just ridiculous. So for me now, it's a limit of 2 people in my golf room, and even then, half of them can't swing it fully because they hit the ceiling. So I'd love to have a setup like yours, mate, with a little entertaining area at the back, a bit of a bar, some tunes, some TV. It would be amazing.
Well, that's solely and solely what I built it for.
usually my next question has been like, what was your inspiration? Where did you get your inspiration from for designing your room? But obviously yours is a different kettle of fish altogether, because you've had support and help from professionals who are doing it for you. So I'm going to ask you, I'm assuming they gave you choices of like what your turf looks like, what your impact screen would look like and all that. Is that what they did for you?
In a way. However, because I'd already started building my space, they sort of gave me different options, and like they didn't give me everything. I already had some stuff done, so their proposal was pretty much custom built to what I required at the time. So, for example, about 3 years ago, in the backyard, I built a space wholly and solely for the kids out of artificial turf. And that was, again, convenience for me, because now I don't have to move the trampoline every time I mow. I don't have to move the cubby house or anything like that. That space is theirs, and they can put whatever they want on it. And I could still mow with ease, right? So I still had some artificial turf left over, which is what I made the sides of my stimulator out of. And then I went down to the local hardware store and I bought some putting AstroTurf, and I did that myself, just because it was easier, because I knew what the dimensions were, instead of waiting for them to get me and then cut it and all the rest of it. However, the hitting mat and all the rest of it, yes, they gave me a few different options. The impact screen, they gave me a few different options, but yeah, so there was some wiggle room, but I did do, apart from the actual stuff relating to the simulator, I did most of it myself. So the walls that you see behind you are actually those vinyl floorboards that you see people put, floating floorboards. Yeah. But I just thought they look super cool, and instead of having to paint the walls and go through all that rigmarole of drywalling and all the rest of it, I went, what if we just put them on there, and we'll just put some screws to keep it all sort of secured, and because the floors actually interlock themselves as well, they don't move.
Love that. That's a great little shout. That, yeah. So, my next question is asking you about which course software you used. So you did mention it before. I'm assuming you're using the Golf Club 2019. How do you find that?
Have no dramas with it. There's never a chance to play the same course twice if you don't want to. There's an abundance of courses. Most of the time, I just get lazy and I look for the filtered ones, right? Because I don't have to go searching for courses. It would be nice. I know that you've mentioned this on GS Pro and that, like to play the plays, and some of the PGA courses aren't actually on TGC, but people have gone in there and tried to replicate them, based on their own experiences or LiDAR or something like that. But it as a whole, no dramas with it. Every now and then I lose internet connection, but that's not their fault, it's mine.
Recently, I've very much been a bit of an advocate for GS Pro, but I had the Golf Club, I still do have the Golf Club 2019, and I had it for a solid 18 months, where it was the best simulator software. It was just amazing, and I love the fact, like you say, you can literally play any course you want. And you mentioned about the players and GS Pro there. Well, all the courses that are created for GS Pro are just community-based people who have built those courses. That they're nothing official. Like I said, there's nothing official about them. It's just exactly the same as the Golf Club 2019, where the users have created the course. I think it's just the courses on GS Pro are kind of like not vetted as such, but the people check them out, they play them a few times to see how good they are before they actually get published to the game itself. Whereas in the Golf Club 2019, anybody can make a course and publish it, and it's there for people to play. But yeah, it's very similar in terms of like the courses that are out there. But one thing I did like about the Golf Club 2019 compared to GS Pro, there's, if you were watching the golf, if you were watching Live, or if you were watching PGA Tour, that course that they're playing on is likely to be on the Golf Club 2019, and you can play that whilst they're playing it. Whereas in GS Pro, because there aren't as many courses out there, it's not as accessible to play the same courses as the Tour Pros.
I've done it a couple of times where, you know, like they might be playing a particular round for the PGA and I found it on TGC and I'm like, oh, I'll see how I go. But obviously I'm not as good as those guys. So after about 4 or 5 holes, it's sort of like, well, now I'm sort of like way down here. I'm not making the cut. And just move on.
Yeah, you quite easily get disheartened, don't you, when you're comparing yourself. I know that feeling well, mate, definitely.
I just tend to stick to my own lane. I'd like to, and I've been starting to get on. I don't know really how to use Discord and that yet. I haven't really spent a lot of time on it. But I've been trying to find blokes like in Australia that are in my sort of time frame, so we can actually play together on the sim. So, like, if anyone happens to watch this, if they can point me in the right direction, that would be great.
Absolutely, mate. I'll put. I don't. Did you say that you've got a bit of a YouTube channel where you put some videos up on YouTube? Is that what you said in one of your emails?
Yeah, so I did create a YouTube channel, and it's not for me to do what you do because I respect what you do. I'm not a very good creative person, right? I'll answer questions all day of the week, and I'll have a conversation with someone, but to actually like think of content, no. So I've literally done that though, just in case I have a really perler of a round. I can put it up there so my mates believe me. Right, that's it.
Yeah. And you can watch it back.
I'm in TGC 19, I've joined a society. So like every week we play around, and there's a leaderboard and all the rest of it. And look, it's literally for that. So if anyone, and I know this is going to sound really bad, but if anyone wanted to have a spray in the comments about how I play or whether they think that I might have like taken a couple of re-swings or whatever, I can send them a link to that YouTube video and go, look, mate, it's fair, it's honest, I just had a really good day. Or it's fair, it's honest, I had a really bad day. But, it's there for me to back me up if someone thinks that I've done wrong.
Yeah. And I think that's what quite a few people do as well. Like you were saying, I'm not very well up on Discord either. But from what I can gather, the people who do play in the societies and they play on the online tours and stuff, that they do video their rounds just for that reason. So if anybody does question them, you can point them in that direction. So it's a great shout. The reason that I did ask that was because you were mentioning about if anybody fancies a game in your time zone. I just wondered how they could get in contact with you, that's all. So I thought I could point them in the direction of your YouTube channel, or even your Discord handle name or whatever it's called.
If someone wanted to have a round, YouTube is definitely just throw something in there.
Obviously, your simulator is a big investment for you. So I'm assuming you use it for practice as well as just playing on golf courses. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'll do roughly, if I get the opportunity, if I'm not working away, I'll come out about 3 times a week, normally around about 4 o'clock, hit the driving range for about an hour. And then Saturday, because I've got kids' sports and everything on Saturday morning, so that takes out the golf on the course. I'll come back Saturday afternoon, have a game on the course. Sunday, I'll probably do a little bit of a driving session before I actually play a course. And between the Saturday and the Sunday, they're my 2 rounds for the society that I'm in.
So do you have like an official golf handicap, or do you just have like a score that you like to play to when you go out and play some golf?
Playing outdoor golf, I don't have a handicap because I just don't have enough time to get out there and keep up the score. When I was playing outdoor handicap, I got it down to about 15 before I started to just not have time anymore, and mates moved away and all different reasons. But on my simulator, I've got a handicap of 10. Would
you say that owning a golf sim has improved your game?
For sure. So I don't go out and play club golf, but I do quite a few charity days. I do quite a few pro-ams. I'm in a position where I'm luckily enough to sponsor days where I am. Great. So I can take my mates out, have a good hit. And for sure, my club selection has changed. So I used to be like a tailor-made, very forgiving cavity back, and now I've gone to a PM 7C. So I've switched to blades. I've also gone out and spent some money on golf clubs now because I can actually hit them. So, I've gone from a pretty average hitter to now I can actually strike the ball and make it do what I want it to do. and I can hit a drive. You know, obviously I have my bad days, but like on a good day, it's an average of 260 metres. But then the other thing that comes a part of that is it's a little bit of a false sense of security as well, because when you start getting out onto the golf course, you've got a little bit of an uphill lie or a bit of a downhill lie, or your feet are below the ball. So you still got to keep that sort of stuff in check. But definitely hitting off a simulator mat, if you fat it, yes, it's a nice thick mat, but it can still hurt. So you don't want to be doing that too many times.
No, that is a great point what you just made, actually, about when you get outdoors and you're playing real golf. There's just so many more things that you've got to think about, and I find that I definitely shoot much better scores on the sim than I do when I'm playing at my local golf club or something, just because when you're playing on the sim, you've got a mat, you've got no wind, it's a flat lie, it's a nice lie. As soon as you get out on the course, you've got to factor in wind, you've got to factor in elevation, uphill, downhill lies, left-hand, right-hand lies, and it's a bit mind-boggling again, isn't it? And it just makes it a little bit nice and simple on the sim. What is your favourite part of your simulator? What's the favourite thing in your golf sim?
I don't really have a particular favourite, to be honest with you. I do have to apologise. You asked me what my favourite thing was. That's it. But if I was to narrow down one thing, I think the best thing that I did was put an air conditioner in the simulator room, just for those summer months where it's 30 odd degrees, and you know, as soon as you open up the door to go outside, you're like, "Ooh, that's really hot." But in here, it's a nice, cool, comfy temperature.
Yeah, I wouldn't know much about that, mate. Being from the northwest of England, we don't often get 30+ degrees weather. So, is there anything in your simulator that you would improve?
Again, I think it would come down to the fact that because I built my simulator space before I sort of knew what I was going to do, that bulkhead that comes down from the ceiling, I think that I would probably get rid of that. And just have a big open sort of area. So when I hit a 60-degree wedge, if I try and play a flop shot, it will actually hit the roof of that bulkhead first. It still reads the same, and like obviously it's a flop shot, so I'm not hitting it super hard, but it does hit the roof of that bulkhead first before it hits the screen. Yeah.
So you would have designed your golf sim and then designed your building after that, rather than the other way around.
If I had my time again, yeah. So when they did send me the proposal, they did turn around and go, "Is there any chance we can get rid of that bulkhead because that would make your playing experience a lot better?" And I went, "Oh, it's already built. That's a lot of work. No."
So on the Golf Club 2019, do you have a particular course that is your favourite?
Yes. So there's a course called the Nomads. I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know where it is in the world, but I know on TGC it's called the Nomads. It is a handicap rated course, so it has to be a course around somewhere. But that's the best round I've ever shot on TGC 19 was on that course, and I just love the fact that there's no water on it, because every time there's water on a course, I seem to be drawn to it.
Brilliant. I've not heard of that course. I've not played it, the Nomads, but I'm definitely going to go and check that out next time I'm on TGC. Do you have a favourite golfer?
I'm a massive fan of Ricky Fowler, to be honest. When he was coming up, I just loved the fact that he was a young fella with the long hair, and he was dressed very, very high vibrant colours. And you know, he won the Players there, and I've been a big fan of him. Don't get me wrong, I'm a very big fan of Henrik Stenson as well, the Iceman, but Ricky Fowler was my age. I was sort of like with Ricky in that regard, going, you know, this is a kid my age. I can sort of relate to him a little bit more because he's had to go through the work and all the rest of it. So not to say the other guys haven't, but yeah, for some reason. And the kids and the missus, they all love Ricky as well. So
you know what, mate?
In saying that though, Cam Smith is coming through the ranks now, and he's an Ipswich boy. So he's about 12 hours from where I live, but we're still in the same state. If you know anything about Australians, there's a very big rivalry between Queenslanders and New South Welshmen. So, got to go with the Queenslander.
Yeah, that was funny about Ricky Fowler, what you were saying, mate, because
for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, I'm just drawn to Ricky Fowler as well. I think he's a top guy. He just seems a nice guy, great golfer, obviously. And then when you said right at the end, the missus and the kids love him too, I'm like, yeah, my missus loves him as well. She's the only person that he's the only person that she looks for whenever I'm watching golf on the TV. She's like, Ricky Fowler playing. I'm going to ask you this, mate, and you might not be interested whatsoever, but I've been asking everybody that's come on so far, do you follow football, English soccer, and if you do you have a favourite player?
Yeah, so I've been waiting for this one. The short answer is I don't follow the English Premier League. But if I was to have a look at social media and what comes across on the news and what my wife tells me, because she follows all that social media stuff, it'll either have to be either Beckham or Ronaldo, because they've done a lot of charity work. So it's not necessarily their soccer. I know that they're very good footballers, so don't get me wrong, but they've also done a lot of charity stuff for kids and all the rest of it. So that's sort of where I'm at.
So it's a very good answer for me, that, mate, because David Beckham was my idol when I was growing up as a footballer. I even had the hairstyle like him and everything. Can't believe I'm putting that out there on the internet, like, but and Ronaldo, well, they both played for Man United, and I'm a big Man United fan, so fantastic answers there. Right, Anthony, honestly, thank you so much for coming on the channel and sharing your simulator setup. I can't wait for everybody to see this. Interesting that it's a Uneekor setup, that it's not a DIY build, it's a professional build as well, so hopefully people will get a lot of benefit from watching this and comparing your video to other people's setups as well. So yeah, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate that.
No worries, happy to do it.
If you're interested in having a professionally built home golf simulator setup, then check out the Golf Swing Systems website. I'll put a link in the description below. And if you're interested in buying pretty much anything else from their website, then use the code handicap5 at the checkout for a 5% discount. For more invaluable golf simulator chat and advice, check out this video on the screen right now.